30. All right, Fremantle on the West Coast, the Derby number 28, boys, 14th playing 15th, $1.52. The favourites, the Fremantle Dockers, they're in some winning form at the moment, having won their last two. Brown, Pavlich, Bradley and Hayden all back in. Warnock out with the shoulder there, Pickers.
Oh, I was really impressed with Fremantle. Parko won't like to say this, but I thought they coached really well last week with no Pavlich to go over to Port Adelaide. I just said Port Adelaide were pretty ordinary, which they were. But Fremantle, as I say, coached really well. They got their matchups right. They won the clearances. Their run from defence was terrific. Their use of the corridor was great. They had 16 different goal kickers. We spoke pre-game and you thought, well, how are they going to get enough goal kickers out here? Well, they created run through the midfield. They got these young players. And look at this sort of stuff. That was nearly the best game I've seen Scott Thornton play. And he sort of set it up early with his run and carrying. They just owned the corridor. This is what they did all day. I thought their run, and they made Port Adelaide look really slow.
Well, that's good coach, isn't it? They should get halves some kudos there if they were to come through the middle of the corridor and run as well as they do. That's a coaching direction.
And they had a lot of real thirst for work last week, Fremantle. I was wrapped for them.
Now, boys, Sean McManus, we congratulate him on a fine career, and he's bowing out this week. It's his last game for the club, which is a great decision at this stage of the year. Let a young kid in. It's fantastic. He held his presser today or yesterday, I think it was, took his kids along, and I just wonder whether his kids were expecting him to say this in front of them.
When Fremantle wins their grand final and wins their premiership, I'll be knocking Pav off the stage to hold the cup.
Well, the kid
wasn't stunned at all.
The kid's face didn't change at all. It's natural conversation.
Shawnee McDowell.
He wears on his sleeve, doesn't he, Sean McManus? No, well done. Look, he's been a great player. He's been a great player.
Football looking half intelligent over the last couple of years until someone says, oh, you can't say that in front of your kid, even if that's the way you speak.
Yeah, no, that was probably a mistake that Shawnee Mac made, dropping the bomb there.
It's emotional. It's his last game.
Congratulations to him. He has been a stalwart of that club. The West Coast Eagles, that's who they play. Their neighbours over there in the West, Davis, Houlihan and Glass, come into the squad. No outs as yet.
Well, they were fantastic last week, getting up against St Kilda. I knew they were coming up shortly. I knew the West Coast were playing this weekend. But look, I thought they were just brilliant. A lot of their younger players stood up. Brad Ebert, Mark Lacroix was sensational down forward, although I didn't like their matchup. McNamara, McKinley, Selwood, these sorts of players. And Matty Spanger had a big role early and did his job. And all the senior players came along. I know what Johnny Worsfold's trying to achieve here, but Brian, I don't know what you were trying to achieve last week, because you called them the no-name West Coast Eagles.
Well
now, hold on, don't even say that you didn't say it. Now, have a listen to this. Watch this again. And this is what you said about some of their players last week.
What about the centre line? This is the weakest Eagles team I've seen in my life.
Yeah, well, you've given them a nice old whack there.
Well,
mate.
it is.
Yeah. What, Bruin, Priddis and Staker can't play?
Have a look at the centre line down there. It was terrible. Mackenzie, Wilkes, who are they?
Oh, the goal-to-goal line.
Yeah.
The goal-to-goal line, is it?
Yeah. They're just kids. Don't go whacking kids. Fair go. Give them a chance.
Give me a break.
Now, Mackenzie and Wilkes, Brian, we're going to show you, just to show that you know who they are, because you are the greatest commentator, voted that way by the supporters out there. These are the two players in question, and last week they were magnificent.
Who's who here?
Eric Mackenzie and 42 is Bo Wilkes, OK?
Yeah.
And just both players played sensational. Have a look at the contest here. Look at Bo Wilkes, who shows some athleticism a bit later, and we can see it here, just his recovery there. He nearly takes sensational mark here, Brian.
He's half a dwarf.
And you called him the nut. He's half a dwarf. He played on the key position, and they were just sensational, and you called them the no-name players. Those youngsters are really making sure that this side's going to go.
His exact words were, it was the weakest Eagles side he's ever seen. But they were very good, Brian.
They were indeed. They had a nice win, one of their few for the year, and let's hope those players can get a couple of kicks so we see on the tally at some stage.
There's one other thing to come from that game. A centre bounce.
Yeah.
This is the tallest midfield ever to play AFL football. And I don't know about other sides. Have a look at that. You had Cox, Staker, who was 6'3", and Lynch, who's 6'4" or 5", and Priddis is the dwarf or the midget in that group. Now have a look at that. That is their centre line bounce.
Was it a mistake, do you think?
No. You know what happened? Quinton Lynch went on the ball, and Quinton Lynch had, I think, 10 possessions, got 3 tap-outs from the centre bounces, about 3 or 4 clearances at ground level, then pushed in the back line, held him up and kicked a 70-metre goal. And no one played on him.
The big Q stick. And 14 in the last quarter. Yeah, 14 in the last quarter.
As a genuine midfielder.
Playing in the midfield.
Oh, have you ever heard of that? A key position player can take a mark and kick the ball a mile. A big man over 100 kilos could go in the middle and do that?
Well, I'm
Never
trying-
seen it done.
No, I never said. But Johnny Worsfold said after the game, I said, what about his motor? You know, he played full forward his whole career. He said he's got a great motor. So we'll see it again. And the other thing, he was third up in about 3 tap-outs and knocked the ball to centre-half forward as a ruckman when the 2 ruckmen were wrestling. It was fantastic. Probably the best game I've ever seen him play.
Who will win it, Shorey? Will the Eagles follow up with another one or not?
Oh, gee, they were good. No, I'm going Fremantle.
No, Pavlich back in and Fremantle expected to win. I'm picking West Coast.
Oh, I might go down. Yeah, I'm with him. I'm going West Coast.
He jumped off very quickly.
Fremantle have won 2 in a row, Parko.
I don't care what they've won in a row. Pavlich is back in and they're expected to win, so West Coast will win.
Yeah, I'm with Parko.
No, I'm actually going to go with Fremantle.
I've
changed.
You have changed because you were with me for 3 weeks.
I was, but then I watched them actually closely last week. They were pretty
Roger
good.
Hayden's in. That's a bigger inclusion.
He's been dropped.
All right, boys.
He's coming back from being dropped.
Fantasy time now.